Hey, what's up, class? Hope you guys are doing well. Hey, today's lesson is on simplifying expressions. So I'm going to give you a review lesson. These are all concepts you've probably learned before. This is a review lesson on simplifying mathematical expressions or algebraic expressions. You should have the notes, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you and we will get started. All right, here we go. Simplifying expressions notes. So my objective for this lesson is to help you to be able to recognize and apply math properties that are used for simplifying math expressions. Okay, and you probably know this more by order of operations, and that's a concept that I will use. So we're going to use order of operations to simplify math expressions. Okay, here we go. So order of operations, PEMDAS. This is something that you're probably familiar with. Here we got the sergeant here, follow my orders, right? So when we're doing PEMDAS, we have to follow a particular order of operations. We got a little operating table going on here. So PEMDAS, let's see if we remember the phrase. And here we go. What's that P stand for? That's please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's probably how you have learned it. And what do those actually stand for? So the P, the please, the P stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. The M is multiply. The D is divide. The A is addition or add. And the S is subtraction or subtract. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now, this is the order that we typically want to simplify expressions. We'll do some examples here in a few minutes. But a couple of things that I want to point out. So you probably have learned this, but one thing that may not have been emphasized in the past is that this takes a order of priority. So let me explain. I want you to imagine, let's just take a break for a second. I want you to imagine you're on campus here. Let's pretend that we're actually back at school and you're on campus and our principal decides he wants to reward the students. And so he decides that that he's going to rent an In-N-Out truck or have an In-N-Out truck come at lunchtime, and he's going to give out free In-N-Out cheeseburgers to all students on campus that are interested. So the In-N-Out truck arrives and all the students are out in the quad, but who's going to get first priority? Well, if you've been on a high school campus, you will know that it is going to be the seniors, right? The seniors always get first priority on things like this. So when we think of this order of operations, I want you to think of who gets the priority. So if we're talking about this In-N-Out truck, the seniors get to go first, right? So after all the seniors get to get in line, then the juniors will get to go next. They get the next priority. Then after the juniors, it would be the sophomores. And then, I'm sorry, freshmen, if there are any burgers left over, then the freshmen get in line. Now, let's say on the particular day that our principal decides that he's going to have the In-N-Out truck arrive at campus, let's say on that particular day, it happened to be senior ditch day. And so there are no seniors on campus. Well, the truck is still here. So if there are no seniors on campus, then who gets first priority? Well, it would be the juniors. That's right. If there are no seniors, so we look around, there's no seniors anywhere to be found. So then who gets to get in line first? Well, it would be the juniors. And then after the juniors, then the sophomores would go, and then the freshmen. Now, so I want you to think of the order of operations. We'll go back to that in just a moment. I want you to think about high school. Who is going to get first priority? So when we look at this order of operations, highest priority is the parentheses. So when you're doing a math problem, you first look for parentheses. But if there are no parentheses, then the next priority is going to be the exponents. So we look to see if there are no exponents, then next in line would be the multiply and divide. Now, I know that multiply is listed first when we say PEMDAS, but these are like sophomore boys and girls. And it doesn't really matter who gets in line as long as you're a sophomore. The girls, if we're going to be gentlemen, we'd let the girls go. But sometimes the guys don't think about that. So, but multiply and divide, as long as they're in the problem, it doesn't matter really who goes first. Normally you would solve those by reading from left to right. So just whoever got in line first. But if you have a multiply and divide, you don't have to automatically do the multiply first. I'll show you in a couple examples. Okay, and then when we get to the add and subtract, this is like freshman boys and freshman girls. What matters is who got in line first. You don't have to always do the addition first. It just matters who got in line first. Okay, so let's try some examples here. I want you to think about who gets priority. So what's the order of priority? Okay, all right, so let's take a look at this first example here. And let's first identify all the operations that are happening. So see if you can think to yourself, and then we'll draw some arrows. So who gets priority? What's the first operation that we would see? So we've got parentheses, right? So they're highest priority, and we do have parentheses. Okay, what else do we have in this problem? We have exponents, and then we have a divide, and then we have a subtract. Okay, so parentheses gets to go first. So what that means when we're looking at parentheses, it means you do whatever inside the parenthesis. So there's a subtraction, and in our order of operations, subtraction is way at the bottom. However, it's inside these parentheses. So that's what we want to work on first. So now 10 take away 20. Okay, so now you've already learned the scoreboard method, so just think about it. This is 10 points to the positive team. This is 20 points to the negative team. Who scored more points? The negatives. The negatives won, and then how much did they win by? 20 take away 10. They won by 10. So this becomes negative 10. 10 take away 20 is negative 10. Right? This was 20 points to the negative team, 10 to the positive team. So this becomes negative 10. Now, let's come over here and do exponents. When we have a number to the second power, you guys remember your exponents? Might be a little rusty on that. A number to the second power means this base number times itself. So that would be 10 times 10. And then, and you know 10 times 10, that's 100. And then we're going to bring this division down. So that's going to drop down in there. So we've got 10 times 10 is 100. And then we want to divide by negative 10. So this is a positive divided by a negative. So our final answer is negative 10. Okay, negative 10. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this next example. Let's go ahead and identify what are the operations that are in the expression. So I see a multiply, I see a subtraction, I see an addition, and then this is an exponent, but it's a fraction exponent. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and identify those. Come on now. Okay, whoops. So there they are. Okay, so now the first thing that we're looking for is we want to look to see if we have any parentheses in this problem. And there are no parentheses. So if there are no parentheses, then who gets the next highest priority? Right? Like seniors, there's no seniors, then we're looking for the juniors. So the next priority is going to be this exponent right here. Now, you may not have seen this very often, but when you have an exponent that's a fraction, the fraction 1/2, this really means square root. This is just a fancy way to write square root. So we want to do that first. So 25 to the 1/2 means the square root of 25. And you may be a little rusty on square roots. We're looking for a number times itself that makes 25. So it's like over here, it's the opposite of to the second power. Here was 10 times 10 is 10 to the second power. We want to figure out what number here times itself would make 25. Okay, then the next thing that and that happens to be the number 5, right? 5 times 5 is 25. So this simplifies all the way down to here. So now the next operation, we have a plus, we have a minus, and we have a multiply. So who takes priority out of those 3? And that next priority would be the multiply here. So we want to go 3 times 5. So 3 times 5, so that's 15. Okay, so now this is no longer a 5. These combined, and that's 15. So now we have 15 minus 14, and then plus this. Okay, so we've got 15 minus 14, and then plus a 5. Okay, now these are kind of like equal. They're both freshmen. A minus, a subtraction, and an addition. So who got in line first? If I'm reading like I read a book, 15 minus 14 plus 5, well, I'm going to do this first. This operation came up first. So 15 minus 14, that becomes 1. And then 1 plus 5 is 6. Okay, so the answer to the second example is 6. All right, okay, let's try a couple more. Okay, now here we're simplifying an expression, but we have variables. Okay, so we've got variables. So one of the things that I like to do whenever I see variables is when I'm just looking at these variables, these letters, sometimes my eyes can kind of glaze over and I kind of get lost. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to think of food. So anytime I see the letter C, anytime I see that in a problem, I like to think of cheeseburgers. Now all of a sudden, I've got something that makes sense. So like here, this is 5 cheeseburgers plus 3 more cheeseburgers. And then this is take away a cheeseburger. Now, this C to the second, that's not the same as a C. There's an invisible 1 here, C to the first. This is not the same. This is like a double cheeseburger, right? Or a double-double. Okay, so when we combine or simplify these expressions, the first thing I want to look for is, okay, here's an operation, here's an operation, here's an operation. This is exponents, but there's nothing I can really do there. And then there's an operation. Okay, so I want to go ahead and put the Great Wall of China in. I want to separate. And now I want to combine like terms. I want to combine and see what matches. So here's a double-double, right? One of those, and it's an invisible 1. C to the second, and then I'm going to match that with this over here. So here's 2 more. So think of like you're at a drive-through restaurant with your family and someone orders a double cheeseburger. Then they order 5 single cheeseburgers. And then as a family, you say, oh, you know what, we need 3 more cheeseburgers. And then someone in the back seat says, well, I want a double cheeseburger. So you order 2 more. And then finally someone says, you know what, I don't want a cheeseburger. So they cancel this. Okay, so let's combine these. So we got one of these guys. This is a double cheeseburger. And then we got 2 more here. Okay, so let's combine those. So that becomes 3 double cheeseburgers, right? C to the second power, 3 double cheeseburgers. And then 5 cheeseburgers and 3 more. They don't all of a sudden become double cheeseburgers. They don't become C to the second. It's just 5 single cheeseburgers and 3 more. And then we're taking away 1. So 5 and 3 is 8, and then subtract 1. So you're going to pay for 7 more cheeseburgers. Okay. All right. So that was combining expressions where there were variables. All right. Let's come down here to this one. Let's take a look at what operations we have. So this is just a fraction, right? That's not an exponent. It's just the fraction 1/2. Here's a plus, there's an operation. Here is a multiply, and then here's another plus. Okay, so let's identify those. Okay, so let's look. Do we have any parentheses? No, no parentheses. So we're trying to figure out what takes priority. So then exponents. Well, that's just a fraction. It's not an exponent. So we got no parentheses, no exponents. So please excuse, then my, right? So multiply. So multiply is going to come next. Okay, so we need to multiply these 2 numbers. Before we go adding here and adding here, we need to multiply these 2 numbers. So 5 times 4, combine those, that's 20. Okay, now you've got over here is a 1/2 and here's a 15. So if we bring those down, they're both plus signs, so it doesn't really matter which one you do first. For me, it's easier to do the whole number. So if I do 20 plus 15, I think of like a $20 bill and then 15 more dollars, that's going to make 35, then plus the half. Now you could do 20 and a half and then add 15, but for me, it's easier to do 20 plus 15 is 35, and then the 1/2. Okay. All right, I think I might have a couple more problems. Let's see. I don't remember what's in the back of this presentation. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. So we are going to now evaluate. Evaluate. So evaluate is a fancy word for plugging in. Right? Got a little electrical cord here. We're going to plug in. Right? Like this sign says here, keep calm and plug it in. Plug it in. Okay, so here's our expression. So we got X. So in my mind, I'm thinking extra large soda. Plus, here's a combo meal. 3 extra large soda yogurt combo meals. And then I'm going to subtract 2 yogurts, okay, or 2y. So wherever we see these values, this variable and this variable, this is the dollar amount we want to plug in. So an extra large soda, or you could think of it as like an extra large shirt, I'm going to plug in a 4 right there. I'm going to plug in a 4 right there. And then wherever I see the Y or a yogurt, I'm going to plug in a 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug those in. Whoops, let me do that. So I'm plugging in to the X. So I'm going to wind up plugging in a 4 into both of those. And then I want to plug in 7s there. Okay, so when I rewrite this, the variables are now going to be gone. And when I rewrite it, instead of an X, I have a 4. And then I have 3 times 4 times 7. Remember, this means 3 times X times Y. So 3 times 4 times 7. And then I've got a -2 or minus 2 times 7. Right? That's a Y plugging in the 7. Okay, so now let's go ahead and simplify. This is an addition, but this is multiply and multiply. This is a subtraction, but this is a multiply. So I need to multiply these together first. Okay, so I'm going to go 3 times 4 is 12. So 12 and then times 7. And then over here is 2 times 7. So when I multiply that, 12 times 7, that becomes 84. And then 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, now priority, order of operations. Here's an add, here's a subtract. Okay, now remember, for these are like freshmen, so it's whoever got in line first. They're kind of equal priority, it's just whoever got in line first. So the add came first, so 4 times 84, that's 88, and then subtract 14. 88 minus 14, you can come over here and do that. If you can't do it in your head, you can come down here. We got 8, take away 4, 8, take away 1, and that's going to give you 74. Okay, 74. All right, so we're just substituting. Whenever you see the word evaluate, that means substitute. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one here. So we're evaluating, we're substituting. So wherever we see a B, we're plugging in $6, and wherever we see a Z, zucchini strips, we're plugging in $2. Maybe B for burritos. Sounds yummy. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in. I see 2 of the B's there, and then the Z, there's 1 in each term. Remember, these are called individual terms. This is a term, this is a term, and here's a term. Remember, this minus goes with that 2. Okay, so we've got 2 to the 2nd power. So I'm going to plug in. So that's really going to be 6 to the 2nd power. And then this Z, don't forget that, that is worth 2. So 6 to the 2nd power times 2. And then this is minus 2 times 6, and then times another 2. And then Z to the 2nd power is 2 to the 2nd power. Okay, so now let's go through our order of operations. I know these are parentheses, but in this case, they just mean multiply. So this is 2 to the 2nd power. That's an exponent. So we learned that already. So this is this number, this base number times itself. So 6 times 6, and then we've got times 2. And then this is 2 times 6 times 2. And then over here is 2 to the second power, or 2 times 2, the number times itself. Okay, so 6 to the second power is 6 times 6, and then times 2, and then this, here we got 2 times 2. All right, we can multiply those out. So 6 times 6 is 36, times 2 is 72, or you could do 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 times 6 is 72, so either way. Here you've got 2 times 6 is 12 times 2, or you could do 2 times 2 is 4 times 6, and that comes out to minus 24 and then plus 4. Okay, so once again, you want to do your order of operations, who got in line first. So we want to do 72 minus 24. So 72 minus 24, 2 subtract 4. Oh, I'm going to have to borrow. Remember, Red Rover, send 10 right over. So I'm going to cancel this out. So that's going to become, if I cancel that, then I send 10 over. 12 minus 4 is 8. And then that became a 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. So 48. So 72 minus 24 is 48. And then plus 4. 48 plus 4 is 52. Okay, so evaluating is substituting. So what I'm trying to teach you is go and substitute in the numbers, then do order of operations. If you try to substitute and do it in your head, you will make mistakes. And mistakes mean wrong answers, and wrong answers mean bad grades. Okay, so just take the time to write it out like I'm writing them out. So in these notes, you have to write it out. But when you're doing this on a quiz or a test, substitute in the numbers and then write them out. Okay, take the time to write them out. If you try to do it in your head, even myself, I've been doing math 25 years, and when I try to just do all the calculation in my head, I make mistakes, and mistakes mean wrong answers, and wrong answers mean bad grades. Okay, all right, so go ahead and summarize one concept, or write yourself a tip or some type of reminder. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, you can always rewind the video. If I was going too fast, you can pause the video. That's a nice thing about the video. Okay, hopefully you guys are doing well, and I will see you at our next lesson.